As the Eisenhower Dollar series moved through the early 1970s, one particular year quietly created a mystery that collectors are still talking about decades later. At first glance, the 1972 Eisenhower Dollar looks almost identical to other Ike dollars. The same portrait of President Dwight Eisenhower appears on the front. The same powerful eagle descending toward the lunar surface appears on the reverse. To most people, it looks like just another large dollar coin from the 1970s. But collectors know something different. They know that 1972 is one of those years where the smallest details can completely change the conversation. Imagine sitting at a table with a handful of Eisenhower dollars spread out in front of you. Every coin appears nearly the same. Most people would quickly put them back into a box and move on. But a dedicated collector begins studying each one carefully. The shape of the earth on the reverse, the appearance of the islands, the tiny design elements that most people never notice. And that's when the mystery begins. The Eisenhower Dollar itself was introduced only a year earlier in 1971. It was created to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower, while also celebrating America's achievements in space exploration. The reverse design was inspired by the Apollo 11 mission, one of the most important moments in modern American history. Because of this connection, every Eisenhower dollar carries a little piece of that story. But the 1972 issue became special for another reason entirely. During production, different reverse dies were used. These design differences created what collectors today identify as Type 1, Type 2, and Type 3 varieties. At first, these distinctions went largely unnoticed by the public. Coins entered circulation normally, and millions of Americans spent them without realizing that subtle differences existed. Years later, collectors began studying these variations more closely. The discovery transformed the way people viewed the 1972 Eisenhower dollar. Suddenly, collectors weren't simply looking for a coin dated 1972. They were searching for specific versions. And that search continues today. One reason this coin remains so fascinating is that it turns ordinary coin collecting into detective work. Instead of simply checking a date and mint mark, collectors must examine design details. They compare images, they study references, they inspect the reverse carefully. Every coin becomes a puzzle waiting to be solved. For many collectors, that's where the excitement begins. Perhaps the most talked about variety is the Type 2 reverse. Over the years, it has developed a reputation as one of the most desirable business strike Eisenhower dollar varieties. Experienced collectors often keep an eye out for it whenever they encounter a group of Ike dollars. This doesn't mean every 1972 coin is rare. Far from it. Millions were produced, and many remain available to collectors today. However, specific varieties, combined with strong preservation, can create much stronger collector demand than ordinary circulated examples. That's an important distinction. When people hear stories about valuable coins, they sometimes assume that every coin from the same year must be worth a significant amount. In reality, collectors evaluate several factors at once: date, variety, condition, eye appeal, strike quality, and overall rarity all work together to determine collector interest. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar is a perfect example of this principle. A common circulated example tells one story. A well-preserved variety coin tells another, and a high-grade example with strong visual appeal may tell an entirely different story. This is why experienced collectors spend so much time studying the details. Now imagine a realistic discovery. A grandfather leaves behind a collection that has been stored for decades. Inside an old coin album are several Eisenhower dollars. At first, the family assumes they are all basically the same. Then someone decides to take a closer look. One coin is dated 1972. Research begins. Photos are compared. Design features are examined. Questions start to emerge. Could this be one of the better-known varieties? That process of investigation is something countless collectors experience every year. And regardless of the outcome, the journey itself becomes part of the enjoyment. The collector community in the United States has always appreciated coins that combine history with variety collecting. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar offers both. It connects directly to the early years of the Eisenhower series while also presenting an intriguing challenge For anyone trying to identify the different reverse designs, that combination keeps demand alive. Another fascinating aspect of the 1972 issue is its connection to the broader economic and cultural landscape of America during the early 1970s. This was a period of rapid change. The nation was reflecting on the achievements of the space program. Technology was advancing. Coin collecting was becoming increasingly popular among hobbyists. The Eisenhower dollar emerged directly from that environment. Today, holding one feels like holding a small piece of that era. Collectors often describe large dollar coins differently than smaller denominations. There is something about their size and weight that creates a stronger connection to history. When you hold an Eisenhower dollar, you immediately notice that it feels substantial. It feels important. And perhaps that physical presence is one reason the series remains so popular. Even younger collectors who never saw these coins circulate regularly often find themselves drawn to them. The designs are bold. The history is rich. The stories are fascinating. And the hunt for varieties adds another layer of excitement. Of course, responsible collecting always requires patience and research. Market values can change over time, and no coin's future value is guaranteed. The most successful collectors focus on education first. They learn how to identify varieties, understand grading standards, and appreciate the historical significance behind the coins they collect. In many ways, that's what makes the hobby rewarding. Every coin teaches something. Every collection tells a story. Every discovery creates a new question. And few Eisenhower dollars generate as many questions as the 1972 issue. More than 50 years after it was struck, collectors still examine these coins under magnification. They still compare reverse designs. They still search through old collections hoping to find an overlooked variety. That enduring curiosity is what keeps the coin relevant. The 1972 Eisenhower dollar may not reveal its secrets immediately, but for those willing to look closely, it offers one of the most interesting collecting adventures in the entire Eisenhower Dollar series. And perhaps that's why, decade after decade, collectors continue returning to this remarkable coin, searching for details, uncovering stories, and keeping the mystery alive. And perhaps that's why, decade after decade, collectors continue returning to this remarkable coin, searching for details, uncovering stories, and keeping the mystery alive.